The Narendra Modi government today has come down hard on NGO Greenpeace for its alleged role in anti-development campaigns across the country. Or that's how the government has put it. The Home Ministry has suspended the organization's Foreign Contributions Registration Act registration that effectively bars it now from receiving funds from abroad. Greenpeace India has also been issued a show-cause notice asking why its registration should not be permanently terminated. The action includes freezing of the NGO's 7 bank accounts with immediate effect. Security agencies in their reports to the Ministry of Home Affairs termed Greenpeace India a threat to national economic security. According to the MHA, the NGO has hurt the public and economic interests of the country. Is Greenpeace anti-national or is the government targeting NGOs? That's the big question. Is Greenpeace anti-national or is the government targeting NGOs? That's the question I want to raise. Joining me now are the Greenpeace Program Director, Greenpeace India, Divya Raghunandan joins me from Bangalore. And I'm also joined by GVL Narasimha Rao. Appreciate both of you joining us. Divya, the fact is that 7 of Greenpeace's bank accounts have been frozen today, alleging that your organization deliberately underreported foreign contributions, used them in part to fund legal cases. Now, that is being seen as a serious violation of FCRA. How do you want to respond first to the legal argument against Greenpeace?
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Rajdeep. So I just want to say first that one of the most disturbing things of this entire episode has been the fact that the show cause notice has not really reached our office. So the organization in question hasn't actually got a show cause notice. It's been released to the media as it has been repeatedly, and then we were told that it was on the website. So unfortunately, this is something that we need to study and we need to understand.
Have you deliberately at ever state, but you would know whether you've deliberately underreported foreign contributions and used them in part to fund legal cases. Is that true or not?
So essentially, there are a whole bunch of technicalities that we have to respond to. My confidence in responding to it comes from the fact that earlier in January, we got a High Court order on basically the stopping of foreign funds to Greenpeace India. The High Court order clearly said that the government's response to us was arbitrary, illegal and unconstitutional, and that the government needed to give space to organizations like Greenpeace to work because there was no evidence for that to be stopped. So, which is where my confidence comes from to rebut each and every one of these technicalities.
So you believe you are calling them technicalities which you will rebut. On the other hand, GVL Narasimha Rao, there's the politics of it. Ever since Greenpeace activist or member Priya Pillai, the government decided first to clamp down on her, prevented her from flying out of the country. There's a sense after the Delhi High Court decided in her favor that your government is determined to take revenge against Greenpeace, that your government is determined to go after NGOs whom they believe are anti-national because they represent an alternative ideological viewpoint. How do you respond to that? That this is simply about trying to somehow curb dissent or alternative views?
No, I think that's a very silly charge I have heard in a long time, and the government
it's being made again
don't
and
get
again.
Unnerved by. No, I think it's very silly. But nevertheless, I would respond to this. I think our government, not only this government, let me remind you, I think the process began in 2011 and notices have been sent to all the FCRA approved, all the institutions which have received FCRA registration and a large number of, so this is not just, see, Greenpeace we have been discussing in the media, but there have been a series of steps that have been taken over the past several months and rather over the past 3-4 years.
So are you saying there is no link between, are you saying there is no link between what has happened today, what happened to Priya Pillai, but the fact that your government has been openly speaking out and saying Greenpeace is anti-national, there is no connection?
No,
this is purely a legal step, nothing to do with your ideological disagreement with Greenpeace?
No, this is a part of a regulatory steps that the government has been taking to ensure that there is no misdemeanor, there is no there is no violation of rules under the Act. And certainly this all stems from the threat perception that was articulated a year ago by the IB.
No, what is the threat perception?
Recently,
what is the threat perception? You see Divya Raghunandan there as a threat to this country? You see her as anti-national?
There are a large, you see,
what is the threat perception? You've used a very serious word. You've used the word threat perception.
Very well.
What is the threat you see from this NGO?
The threat is to the economic security of the country, and this is how more than 20 countries, I've told you before, more than 30 countries in the last 2 years have regulated, have actually framed new laws.
So if you question the economic...
to somehow either prevent...
Yes. If you question someone's economic development model, they are a threat to the country.
No, absolutely not. Last couple of months, I think a series of actions have been taken. 14 organizations which are donor organizations have been put under a compulsory approval category. So no foreign funding can come from any of these 14 donors to any NGO operating in India. No. These are all organizations which have been actively pursuing anti-development agenda in the Indian context. And the government would not have done this without having substantive substantive assessment of it.
Can I come to you, Divya? The point which is being made, particularly about Greenpeace, is that you take extreme positions on issues, and some of those extreme positions therefore prejudicially affect the economic interests of the Indian state. That therefore it is important to clamp down on Greenpeace. That's essentially the argument that the government has made time and again. We can discuss the legal technicalities once you have the show cause notice, but the fact is you are seen to take extreme positions that are seen in a way to be against what Mr. Narasimha Rao and his government believe are against the economic interests of India. Yes, Divya, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Yeah, the fact is that you are seen to take extreme positions which the government believes are prejudicial to the economic interests of the Indian state.
And influenced by foreign organizations which have a stake in it.
Okay, can I respond?
Yeah, please respond.
Okay, so I think most people know that Greenpeace has an amazing track record to actually secure environmental and health justice for people of India. Be it the nuclear liability bill, where we ensured that Indians will not bear the repercussion of a Fukushima-like accident by ensuring supplier liability. We worked with the government, with the opposition to actually ensure that. We did that with the e-waste law, where we sat around the table with corporations and the government to get India's first e-waste law. We've done this on several accounts, but the point when we ask these difficult questions and run these campaigns, we are actually disturbing certain interests. When Mahan, the forest where we were working on forest rights issues and forcing compliance on opening up land, what we were, we did actually end up worrying the Ruhiyas because they had to go out and look for coal when Mahan was deallocated. When we actually talk about ecological agriculture and we talk about the impacts of pesticides, then we do actually anger United Phosphorus that come after us with a case. The question here is that we are asking difficult questions, and there are corporate interests that are benefited and they are worried by these campaigns.
But you are willing to concede. But you are willing to concede that if you violated contribution regulations, then you have to face the arm of the law. So there are two issues. One is you have every right to ask questions. And I don't think I or anyone else should dispute that. Certainly Mr. Narasimha Rao may be disputing that, but most right-thinking Indians would not. The question is, have you committed legal violations? If you've committed legal violations, you must pay a price for it. If you are being targeted for asking questions, then Mr. Narasimha Rao, you've also got to answer some tough questions. You cannot simply put out cases. Yes, put up your finger simply because they ask you difficult questions that may benefit people who are close to your government.
Rajdeep, we are asked questions day in and day out by the media, a vibrant media. We are accountable to Parliament, where we have to answer every political party and every member of Parliament. And we are accountable to the judiciary. What we are up against here is foreign powers and foreign countries which have a vested interest in stalling India's
development. But Divya is an Indian citizen. Priya Pillai is an Indian citizen. They are right to ask questions. Any Indian has a right to ask you a question, sir. Whether you want to answer it or not is different. You can't call them anti-national for asking you questions, for God's sake.
You can do it under the law. You cannot be doing this in violation of law.
Okay, so
what has been the reason why their FCRA license is being suspended is because they are in violation of law.
Okay, so
if they can prove that they are not in violation of law.
If it is true they are not in violation of the law, they must get their license back. We will leave it at that. I think the law of the land will be supreme. Let's not make this about national versus anti-national, because that is a dangerous debate this government at times tends to enter into. But Divya Nagunandan and GVL Narasimha Rao, appreciate your joining us on our Face Off tonight.